Tamara, you recently wrote a book called Defeat Cancer Now. Can you just briefly talk about the story behind that book?
Yes, well, in 2009, it was April 2009, and I had found a lump on my breast. And because I was busy getting my master's degree and I was almost finished, I was going to finish in June of 2009, I said, okay, I knew what it was in the back of my mind, and I was like, okay, well, I can't deal with this now. I'm busy getting my degree. So I put it on the back burner. And then in May of 2009, I had lost my job. And so now I was unemployed and with cancer. And I was like, I still can't think about this right now. I have a month until I graduate. So I put it on the back burner. Well, in that time of 2 months, it had actually spread to my lymph nodes. So then I had like 5 or 6 lymph nodes underneath each armpit. And everything was, it was visible and swollen. And by that point, everything was throbbing all across my breast area. And it was really painful, difficult to sleep. And then it was itching at the site of the lump on my breast. And so by the time I finally graduated, I just, because I didn't have any insurance and I didn't have any money, so I just sat in front of the computer and I cried and I said, God, you put this on me for a reason, and so you're going to have to help. And I just asked him, what do you want me to do? Lead me in the right direction to what's going to heal me naturally. Because there was no way. I saw my mother going through chemo and radiation like 30-something years prior when I was like 12 years old. And there was no way I was going to do that. So I just left it in his hands, and he led me to, the Budwig protocol and apricot kernels. And things like that.
Which is Laetrile, right?
Yeah. Well, not the Laetrile, because that's the IV injections,
okay.
but just the apricot kernels themselves. Okay. So I immediately started on Budwig in June of 2009. And within a couple weeks, the lump started going down, and the pain got less, and the throbbing got less. So I knew something was happening. Something was working. By June, I was already sleeping like 15 hours a day. I was that exhausted. And always like in a fog. So I know that the cancer was pretty advanced at that point, especially because it spread to the lymph nodes. And then about a couple months later, I started adding in apricot kernels, and then I added in juicing and starting to detox my body. And of course, I was exercising a lot, going hiking and getting out in the sun and doing stuff like that. And I started healing. About September of 2009, a rash appeared around my neck in the form of a ring, and I didn't know what was going on. So I had talked to doctors, and I talked to biochemists, and I talked to nutritionists, and I talked to other people with cancer, and other people had told me, well, that's the epidermal growth factor receptor. It's the rash that comes out when you have cancer in your body, and it will come out while your body is detoxifying from cancer. Not everybody gets it because it's more prevalent in HER1 type cancers, so advanced stage breast cancers or non-small cell lung cancer. So that came out, and I had asked these people, well, how long is it going to be until it goes away? Because it was really itchy and nothing was helping it. I put aloe vera or anything on it, nothing was working. And they said, when all the cancer's gone in your body, the rash will disappear. And it took over 7 months from that point until it finally disappeared. Sometime in April of 2010 is when it finally, was going away. And so I figured, okay, well, I must be healed. And then I stopped doing all of the good stuff I was doing and went back to eating donuts and sugar and stuff I wasn't supposed to do. And within 6 months, the cancer came back worse than before. So within a few months from it coming back, at this point, I was now sleeping 21 hours a day and always in a fog. Just when you're awake, you don't feel like yourself or like you've even slept. So I just, by December 2010, I was so exhausted and nothing was working, and I felt myself dying, and I felt my body shutting down, and I just I laid down and I just cried, and I just said, I'm done. That's it, God. It's up to you. I'm not detoxing anymore. I'm not doing anything. I'm done. You know, and I'm happy with that, and I was ready to die. And I went to bed, and the next morning I woke up, and all of a sudden I ran to the bathroom, and I just, you know, kept having diarrhea, and then I would get out of the bathroom, and I'd run back to the bathroom. It was like I was detoxing. By the fourth time I had done that, all of a sudden it felt like someone lifted a shade really slowly up from the bottom of my chin up to the top of my head, like the fog was being lifted. And it was just so profound how that happened. And I knew that had to have been a miracle. No, the cancer wasn't gone, but it gave me enough energy to where I kind of had the will to live again, to where I was able to start detoxing again and doing all of the other stuff. So I had, you know, started the juicing and the apricot kernels again, and the detoxing, and this, by the way, takes practically all day to do it, and it's a long process, but, you know, when considering the alternative of chemo or radiation or surgery, that's just not an alternative to me. So I was glad that I didn't have insurance, and I was glad, you know, I didn't have any money, because I would have went the other way. I would have made the decision to surgery and chemo. I'm glad I didn't. I'm glad that it happened that way.